Hi everyone, this is Stelios. In this video, I'm going to talk about the blockchain framework. So, if you have been on Tesseract Academy's website, you would have probably noticed this section called Free Resources and Tools. So here we are providing to you for free various tools and frameworks which you can use to better understand how you can use data science or blockchain. So one such tool, which I'm going to talk about more today, is the blockchain framework. So let's see what this looks like. Here you can see the blockchain framework. So it's a document that consists of 3 pages and a few questions. So the purpose of this framework is to help you understand whether you should apply blockchain to the particular problem you are trying to solve. And if yes, then what kind of blockchain you should use. So as you will notice, if you download the file, the framework is split in different sections. You have the section called business, then technology, and then finally legal. So obviously, when you start looking into the use of blockchain, you're going to start with business, right? So what is the problem that you're trying to solve? So once you identify this, then you need to make sure that the problem you're trying to solve involves one of the following. If the problem you're trying to solve has nothing to do with any of these, like efficiency, trust, redundancy, etc., then it's unlikely that blockchain is the solution for you. You might need to look into some other solution like a centralized database. Then coordination is something else that is very important. If you're looking for solutions which are internal to an organization, then you are most likely looking into the area of permissioned or private, as we call them, blockchains. These are blockchains built for an enterprise. Whereas if you're looking for more open solutions, then you're looking into public blockchains. And public blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are very different. It's a different technology, different type of models, different issues. So that's a very important question. After the crypto bubble of 2018, we have witnessed a rise in the use of enterprise blockchain and permissioned blockchains. But while the public blockchains, they're still going strong, there are fewer people that believe in this vision that public blockchains are trying to promote. And then another question, which this is in the business section, but obviously relates to the legal section as well, is around the business model. If we're talking about the B2C business model, there might be some regulatory issues. The obvious example for this is Facebook's Libra coin. Yeah, I mean, if you want to create a new currency that's going to sit alongside other global currencies, then yes, there are some regulatory issues involved there. And finally, the degree of complexity and the novelty of the solution. That's the last question, where in this question, they're not so much to guide you around the type of blockchain you need, but mostly to make you aware of how your business model is going to be affected. I mean, if you're a startup, for example, and your whole business model is around creating a new solution, then you probably need to be here. Whereas if you're a bigger organization, you might not care so much about a transformative solution, but more about delivering immediate value. And then we go into the technology section. There are like 3 questions here, but the most important part of this section is this table. So if you're thinking to apply blockchain to anything, maybe you work for a big organization or you want to create a company in this space, it doesn't matter. You have to read this table. So you have to make sure you understand the differences between open and closed blockchains, and also the differences in the read and write permissions. And make sure to read more about some of the examples presenting here. So let me break this table down for you. First of all, we break down blockchains in open and closed. And quite often, private is a synonym for permissioned, but you see that's not always the case. You can have public permissioned blockchains as well as public permissionless blockchains. So what makes a blockchain public is that they're open to anyone, but what makes a blockchain permissioned is that for some actions, basically reading or writing to the blockchain, only a set of authorized participants might be able to do this. So Bitcoin and Ethereum are the obvious examples of public permissionless blockchains, but there's also a public permission system like Sovereign. Then regarding closed blockchains, you have consortia, which are restricted only to some participants. A good example of this are banks that are using a ledger or some technology like R3 Corda, for example. And then you have the private permission blockchains, which offers the highest number of restriction, let's say, and security. And this is usually something that applies only to the internal operations of an organization. And then in this case, an organization might want to use blockchain for making, for example, auditing easier and more efficient. Because, for example, when we're looking at anything on this level, we're talking about levels of trust. So public permissionless blockchains, they solve the problem of trust on a global scale, whereas consortia, they solve the problem of trust between a few parties. But in this case here, there's probably not so much an issue of trust as of efficiency, and this is why you might want to use blockchain in this case. And finally, we're going to the legal section, which, I mean, let's face it, most people don't enjoy this part so much. It can be very costly to deal with all regulatory issues. And not only that, but also it can take a long time to get approval. Sometimes even very big companies like Facebook, you can see all the kind of issues they face when they try to push their ideas across, as we saw with LibraCoin. So this section is here not to provide legal advice, but it's mostly about helping you understand some of the legal issues that you need to be aware of. For example, you need to look into the regulations and understand whether the regulations are friendly for your type of business, for your business model. You have to look into whether you have any GDPR concerns, whether KYC, like know your customer. If you're using oracles, an oracle, for those of you who don't know the term, means someone or something which has access to the ground truth. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you want to create a blockchain for supply chain. So you have different companies and all the operations, they're going to be stored on a blockchain. So it's clear that maybe when a company is transferring some goods from place A to place B, maybe someone will forget to record that this happened, or maybe they're going to make a mistake around the total number of goods being transferred. It happens. But, an oracle is, something or someone who could provide access to the ground truth and say, hey, this is actually the total amount of goods was X, but what we have here in the system, that's not the right value. So you need to have some kind of mechanism that has access to this ground truth in these sort of scenarios. And that's very important because in case there is some sort of legal dispute, then you need to be able to solve this. So if you have a company in this space, if you are using blockchain for, besides supply chains, maybe using smart contracts for anything, and you're afraid that blockchain itself might be vulnerable, not so much the blockchain, but the process itself might be vulnerable because some types of data might have to be entered manually, for example, or be gathered from outside sources, then you need to think how this could affect everything, basically, from your business model and the effectiveness of your business model to whether it leaves you exposed in a legal sense. So that's a brief overview of this tool. You don't have to answer every question, but it's still good to go through this document if you're thinking to use blockchain, solely because this document will help you, will make you aware of some of the issues that you might come across as you try to work your way through this landscape. So I hope you found this useful. Thank you for being here with me, and make sure to check out some other of my videos. Thank you and bye.